Hello and welcome back to Dewey Rides. That right there behind me is Mt St Helens, and what we're going to do today is go right up there.
Hello YouTube, it's Dewey, and as you saw in the intro, we are on our way up to Mt St Helens. So this is if you don't know some of the history of Mt St Helens, on May 18th, 1980, Mt St Helens erupted in spectacular fashion. All of the mountains here in the Pacific Northwest along the Cascade Range are volcanic. Some of them are much more active than others. And Mt St Helens was quite active. Starting in March of 1980, they started to have a lot of swarms of earthquakes on this mountain. And then they saw a large dome growing on the north side of it on the top. And so they dispatched a whole lot of volcanologists out here, and the U.S. Geological Survey set up monitoring stations to see what was going on. And one of those monitoring stations is called Coldwater 2. And where we are heading now is where Coldwater 2 was just before the eruption, on a hill monitoring the north side of the mountain. And on that ridge, the day of the eruption, was a man by the name of David Johnston. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but I will bring it all back together, and this is completely related. But sometimes in life, you never know how the decisions you make will affect you or affect other people. And just prior to the eruption on that weekend, there was another gentleman who was supposed to be manning Coldwater Ridge, and he asked if he could have the weekend off, and David Johnston decided to cover for him. And it doesn't seem like a big deal to just cover a shift for your coworker, or even if you decide you just want a weekend off. That very small decision changed the course of a lot of people's lives. And as we wrap this back up, that's the only reason that David Johnston was on this ridge up here on the morning that the eruption happened. And they've now called that ridge Johnston Ridge, and the observatory where we're going is called the Johnston Ridge Observatory. And you can just see the mountain there as we're working our way up there. There's a little bit of traffic, so I'm not sure how much spirited riding I'm going to get in, but we'll find out. But there was also another woman that was up there and supposed to be on that ridge that day. And David Johnston told her she could head home, and he would stay up there by himself and man it. Now you kind of wonder, there was quite a lot of earthquake activity happening at that time, and you wonder if somewhere in the back of his mind he didn't know that an eruption was imminent, and that having more people up there was just putting them in harm's way. You know, you'll never know what he was thinking. But I've always wondered that, knowing that he covered for somebody and that the other person who was supposed to be up there at the observatory and monitoring the mountain, he sent home. Since the 1980 eruption, Mt St Helens has actually had several other small eruptions and quite a lot of earthquake activity. So it's still a very active mountain. We don't know how active. Prior to 1980, the last known eruption was, I believe, 1850s, maybe 1857. I probably have my date wrong. That was only 130 years between major eruptions, not counting minor ones. So that is what I would consider a very active mountain. For somebody who lives 50 miles from this mountain, that's a little too frequent for my liking. That means that the chances of possibly another eruption and another major eruption in my lifetime is a real possibility. It may be another 150 years and I may miss it. It may happen sometime in my lifetime. We just don't know. And it's a constant reminder when you see the devastation that this mountain erupting caused, that all of these other mountains that we in the Northwest love to ride our motorcycles on and around and play in, go skiing on, and all the other activities that we do are all lurking giant volcanoes. Some of them are, like I said, much more likely to erupt than others. You know, Mount Rainier is in very close proximity to the city of Seattle, and Mount Rainier is an incredibly active volcano. It's due its eruption. Mount Hood has been dormant for a long time, but it's not extinct. So that one again is very close proximity to me as well. It's closer than Mt St Helens is actually. So it's good to see. It's good to see this and get a reminder of just exactly what it is and the area that we live in is capable of. And we're going to see some of that major destruction as we get a little higher here. There's still a lot of forest area here. And there was also a very significant amount of reforestation done here. They think they planted some number of millions of trees after the eruption in certain areas. And other parts of this they left to just let nature recover what it could, to see and study just exactly how forests and animal populations recover from something like a major eruption. And it's happening a lot faster and a lot more spectacularly than they thought. It's quite an interesting thing for people to study and to see what happens. And I've been coming up here my whole life. I was born just after the eruption, actually. So ever since I was a little kid, I've only known it looking like this, and it has changed quite a lot since the time that I was a little kid. The amount of reforestation is amazing. The way that the glaciers and the streams are recovering is amazing. It's quite incredible. But just looking at this, you can see how once you get up here, very few of these trees are very large. And the only large ones are the deciduous trees. The fir trees have not recovered at the same rate. But as you can see, Mt St Helens was a lateral blast, and it actually erupted this way. We're coming in from the west and the north, and the eruption was on the north side of the volcano. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of where we are. Spot to get a view of the crater from the side here. It's just a phenomenal hole that it left. You get some idea of the power that it must have taken to blow the entire top off and put that hole in that mountain. It was a huge release of energy. at the parking lot for the Johnston Ridge. So what we are going to do is walk up there and get a little off the bike footage and show you some more Mt St Helens. For my buddy Moto Ramblings, if you're watching this one, we are at about 4,200 feet where the parking lot here is. I know you love to find out about the elevations that I have.
Hey, well, hello and welcome to the Johnston Ridge Observatory. So this view, you really get an idea of just how big this explosion was and the damage it all caused. This used to be a mountain that looked like Mount Hood, Mt St Helens, and it blew the entire top and the side off of that. Now, to put the size of this into perspective, that crater is 1 mile across, and the top of the mountain used to be 1,300 feet or 400 meters taller than it is today. So the hole in there is almost 1 mile by 1.5 miles in a big circle that just blew out the side, and that all washed down along with all of the melted snow and glaciers that caused a lot of flooding in lahars and flowed down from this and out to the Columbia River, causing a lot of damage in its wake. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed getting to see some of Mt St Helens and just how powerful this mountain is and what happened here.
Well, everybody, that was Mt St Helens. This was the west side of the mountain in Johnston Ridge Observatory. So if you enjoyed this one, I have really good news. This is part 1 of part 2 of a series on Mt St Helens. So on the next episode, Rick is going to be back. He hasn't been on in a while because the last episodes you've been watching have been from my trip from earlier this summer. But Rick will be back in the next one, and we are going to ride up on the east side of the mountain and from the south to what is called Windy Ridge. And it is a phenomenal motorcycling road. It is one of the favorites of especially the adventure bike riders because it's a little tighter, twistier. There's some frost heaves and bumps you got to watch out for. It's a great ride. This one's real popular with the sport bikers and the cruisers because it's a little less technical. But that'll be the next episode. It'll be a fantastic ride, and we will get some more information, some more history about Mt St Helens and what happened from that side of the mountain's perspective, and a lot more views and a lot more riding action. So you got that to look forward to. But until then, I will see you guys later, and it's Dewey out.